Welcome back to our Ad Strategy Playbook, the podcast that dives deep into the high-stakes world of digital marketing. My name is Andrew, and I am the head of community here in the Create team. Today, we're cracking open the notes from another 3 confidential expert consultations, uncovering the shocking mistakes and brilliant strategies that separate fragile e-commerce stores from scalable powerhouses. Once again, this expert guide was provided by Sven Bauman, an industry veteran who manages millions in ad spend for our internal brands like Optimal Print. He recently sat down with 3 store owners to fix their leaky buckets and budget nightmares. Let's start with a common fear: the black box of ad spend. One store owner, let's call them Stellar Memories, came to Sven paralyzed by caution. They had essentially stopped running ads because they were terrified of losing money. When they finally turned them back on, they were spending about $34 to $39 a day. Now, $39 seems safe, right? But Sven told them the hard truth. In the US market, that budget is so small, the algorithm can't even learn. But here was their biggest strategic error. Stellar Memories was obsessing over manual targeting settings, trying to specifically find couples. Sven told them, stop. He introduced them to the Andromeda update. Basically, Meta's AI is now so smart that the ad itself is the targeting. If your video shows a couple kissing under a star map, the AI finds the people who want to see that. You don't need to turn the knobs anymore. But the real unlock was the math. Their average order value was stuck at $52. Sven was blunt. You cannot win in the US market with a $52 order value. You need to be at $70 or $80 to afford the CPMs. So, what do? Raise prices and scare everyone away? No. Sven looked at their site and saw they were selling a small 8x12 poster. His advice? Just delete it. Force the customer to the medium size. It's a simple psychological tweak that instantly bumps revenue to fund the ad spend. Next, let's look at the heavyweights. Our second case is a company we'll call the Global Gifter. These guys are on a different level. In November alone, they spent roughly £250,000 on ads. You'd think spending $250,000 means you know exactly what you're doing, but they were in attribution hell. They were spending heavily on both Meta and Google, and both platforms were claiming credit for the same sales. Here is a specific tip for the big players listening. The Global Gifter was considering using Triple Whale to track this. Sven said, no. At that spend level, Triple Whale is often better suited for smaller budgets. He pointed them toward Northbeam as the market leader for that volume of complexity, but the biggest leak in their bucket was Google. They were running PMax campaigns, Performance Max. Sven caught them doing something deadly. They were letting PMax bid on their own brand name. Think about that. The AI was paying top dollar to show an ad to someone who was already searching for them. The advice? Pull branded search out into its own campaign with a super low bid limit. Don't let the AI overpay for customers you already have. Finally, we have to talk about the leaky bucket. Our third case is a company we'll call Occasion Prints. They sell custom prints for special occasions. They had traffic, they had clicks, but they had an 85% drop-off rate between adding to cart and purchasing. 85% of their potential revenue was walking out the door. Sven looked at this and said, you don't just need ads, you need to stalk these people. He recommended partnership ads. You get a micro-influencer to make a video, but instead of them posting it, you get their ad code. This allows the brand to run the ad as if it's coming from the influencer's profile. It bypasses banner blindness because it looks like a person recommending a product, not a corporation selling one. And one last thing for Occasion Prints. They were a small team struggling to keep up. Sven told them to use AI, specifically tools like Gemini, as an invisible employee. Use it to generate ad headlines, write PMax assets, and even research VAT tax laws for expanding into Germany. So, to wrap up this session, here is your cheat sheet for the week. Force the upsell. If your average order value is too low for ads, remove the cheapest size option from your store. Protect your brand. If you use Google PMax, never let it bid on your own brand name. Move that to a separate, cheaper campaign. Humanize your retargeting. If you have high cart abandonment, don't just run banner ads. Use partnership ads to enter the feed as a trusted creator, not a company. That's it for this week's episode. We want to thank Sven Bauman for taking the time to share his expertise. If you've enjoyed this deep dive, don't wait until peak season is over. The time to act is now.